In a distant future, a world divided, a wasteland at war. In trouble with the Jackroller crime syndicate, and with the warlords of the Black Mulga on her tail, Ari must confront her past when she sets out across the war-torn wasteland to rescue Starla from the clutches of the infamous Bone Pointer. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. In today's video, as the title might have already clued you in, I'm going to continue my deep dive into the adventures of Ari. This time by looking at the second book in the trilogy, Ari Goes to War. The TLDW for this review is, this book is very enjoyable to read. It provides a very fulfilling reading experience. It improves upon a lot of the points that the first book made and allows the author to expand their world in meaningful and very interesting ways. I would not recommend that you read this as a standalone, given it calls back to the first book quite a lot. You might still enjoy it, but I would suggest that you read the first book before getting to this one. And now that I've gotten that out of the way, it's time I get into the full-length review. The plot of this book follows Ari, who, since the first book, has become a war refugee, trying to find her way, find her place within a new settlement. Due to her newest friend getting herself in trouble with a very powerful crime syndicate, the two of them are tasked with retrieving Starla, who, after the events of the first book, finds herself abducted again. Only this time, the presumptive captor is someone Ari herself is already familiar with, and not for very pleasant reasons. So yeah, that is the plot. A pretty strong plot, if I may say so myself. So how does the author build upon that plot? What can I say about this book that makes it distinctive? I'm going to start with the points that it carries over from the first book. Chief among them being how they use perspectives in order to set the stage. The first book only had two POV characters, and they were quite similar in a nature versus nurture kind of situation. But aside from that, and while that was interesting within the context of that story, it was also limited. Within this book, you have four, arguably five POV characters, all of whom are more spread out, both geographically and in terms of their respective life experiences. And all of them give a fuller, more engaging description into what it is like to live within that world and to actually make choices that impact the situation there. Well, we're also getting a lot more insight into the into individual perspectives and motivations with how the characters themselves respond to and interact with the challenges the setting itself presents to them. However, that is only part of what makes this book interesting. The characterization in general has become quite a bit better. Not necessarily in terms of the main characters who are as strong as they were in the first book, but more in terms of how the book handles its secondary and tertiary characters. It is 20% longer than its predecessor, and a lot of that extra length is dedicated to getting to learn the other people within the setting, their mannerisms, their motivations, their intentions, etc., and how it is that these facts have influenced them to do what it is that they set out to do. And the way they are presented allows them to stand out while also still blending into the environment. It adds variety to it without without breaking it, without disrupting the verisimilitude and immersion that the reader experiences. A lot of that comes from the general stream of consciousness narrative flow that that the book establishes, and I think in general, being able to nail that narrative flow is something that allowed the author to improve, to improve the second book. Case in point comes in how they describe the setting and various locations and elements within the setting. It is actually much more it's actually more minimalistic than the first book, a little bit sparser, and there's a lot more for the reader to fill in the blanks. But that allows the rest of the narrative to become more immersive and to engage the readers quite a bit more. That also has an interesting impact on the action scenes. The ones that are up close and personal are done quite well, which I would expect, given they were done quite well in the first book. That is where this author's comfort zone and expertise lies. But the long range action scenes actually work quite a bit better, given we are given a very private insight into how it is that the dynamics of the individual scenes shift, and the readership can more directly assess how the tension flows and how the peril of how the peril for the characters evolves within the setting. So yeah, it is very well done in all of these facts. I would exaggerate only slightly by saying that it is easy reading as an art form. Unfortunately, there are some problems with this book as well. Some of them might fall under the categorization of nitpicks, but still they are sizable enough to where I want to discuss them. First of all, while I did praise the setting description for being minimal and for allowing better immersion in that sense, there are certain scenes where I would have wanted just that little bit more description, because I think that would have improved at least my immersion, maybe that of others as well. This setting is supposed to be post-apocalyptic, and yet I'm not exactly sure which aspects of the previous world have survived the apocalypse. So there are various points where I'm kind of scratching my head and wondering, wait, how did that make it through? Like, what is it about certain aspects of the world that allowed them to survive and not anything else? So yeah, that's something to consider. But the biggest of these nitpicks is something I actually mentioned in my review of the first book. Namely, there still aren't really a lot of descriptions about the political developments within the book. Even though this series is quite distinctly and directly political, and I'm not saying that to mean that ABC is secretly actually about XYZ. I mean, this is literally a description of a power struggle, with the main characters as pawns on their way to becoming queens. However, I can't see the rest of the board. I can only see them making their way to the other end. I don't know what other pieces are around them to either help or hinder them. Or at least, if I am, I'm not seeing enough of it, and that is something I would have wanted more descriptions on. How it is that these post-apocalyptic organizations work within this within this new setting. Hopefully, the third book will answer at least some of those questions. Hopefully. Overall, this book's strengths far outweigh those of its faults, and it allows its author's strengths and improvements to be showcased in a very interesting and very exciting manner. My final rating for Ari Goes to War is a 4 out of 5. And yeah, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like, maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to the video, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Empire Next Generation, is available at most major book retailers under a master link in the description down below, right past all of my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. If you do, you'll also find a Patreon link listed down there, in case you want to support me more directly. And maybe even receive perks such as early access to videos as well as scripts. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Taylor, and this has been the Heir's Lair.